Hideous truth struck her. That glassy stare wasn't stupor. It was death. She let out a shriek that cut through the night air and the deserted road with its beautiful lamps and triple pools of light, and shot up into the empty void of the sky above. She shrieked again and again, as if now she had started she must continue on and on until there was some answer to the horror in front of her. At the far side of the bridge, dim figures turned. Another voice shouted, and someone began to run, footsteps clattering hollowly towards her. Hetty stepped back away from the lamp-post and its burden and tripped over the curb, falling clumsily into the road. She lay stunned and angry for a moment. Then someone bent over her, and she felt her shoulders lifted. "You all right, love?" The voice was gruff, but not ungentle, and she could smell damp wool close to her face. Why had she been so stupid? She should have kept quiet and gone on her way, left some other fool to find the corpse. Now a little knot of people was gathering round her. "Good!" someone squealed in sudden horror. "He's dead. Dead as a mackerel, poor beggar." "You'd better not touch him." This was an authoritative voice, quite different in tone, educated and self-confident. "Someone send for the police. Here, you go. There's a good chap. There should be a constable along the embankment." There was the sound of running feet again, fading as they drew farther off. Hetty struggled to stand up, and the man holding her hoisted her with good-natured concern. There were 5 of them, standing shivering and awed. She wanted to get away, most particularly before the Rozzers arrived. Really, she hadn't used the wits she was born with, yelling out like that. She could have held her tongue and been half a mile away and no one the wiser. She looked round the ring of faces, all shadows and eerie highlights from the yellow lamps, breath making faint wisps of vapour in the cold. They were kindly, concerned, and there was no chance whatsoever she could escape. But she might at least get a free drink out of it. "I've had an horrible shock," she said shakily, and with a certain dignity. "I feel all cold and wobbly like." Someone pulled out a silver flask, the light catching on its scrolled sides. It was a beautiful thing. "Have a sip of brandy?" "Thank you, I'm sure." Hetty took it without protestation and drank every drop. She ran her fingers over it, tracing the engraving before, reluctantly, handing it back. Inspector Thomas Pitt was called from his home at 5 minutes past 1 in the morning, and by 1:30 he found himself standing at the south end of Westminster Bridge in the shivering cold, looking at the corpse of a middle-aged man dressed in an expensive black overcoat and a silk hat. He was tied by a white evening scarf round his neck to the lamp-post behind him. His throat had been deeply cut. The right jugular vein was severed, and his shirt was soaked in blood. The overcoat had hidden it almost entirely, and the folded scarf, as well as holding him up and a trifle backwards, so the stanchion of the lamp took some of his weight, had also covered the wound. There was a group of 6 people standing on the far side of the bridge across the road from the body. The constable on duty stood beside Pitt with his bull's-eye lantern in his hand, although the street lamps provided sufficient light for all that they could do now. "Miss Hetty Milner found him, sir," the constable said helpfully. "She said as she thought he were ill and inquired after his health. Reckon more like she was doubting for his business, but don't suppose it makes no difference, poor devil. He's still got money in his pockets, and his gold watch and chain, so it don't look as if he were robbed." Pitt looked again at the body. Tentatively he felt the lapels of the coat, taking off his own gloves to ascertain the texture of the cloth. It was soft and firm. Quality wool. There were fresh primroses in his buttonhole, looking ghostly in the lamplight, with the faint wisps of fog that drifted like chiffon scarves up off the dark swirling river below. The man's gloves were leather, probably pigskin, not knitted like Pitt's. He looked at the gold-mounted carnelian cufflinks. He moved the scarf aside, revealing the blood-soaked shirt, studs still in place.